Hello, I'm Alma Schneider. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the proud mother of 4 children, one of whom has Prader-Willi syndrome.
And I am Iris Miller. I'm a certified rehabilitation counselor and the proud mother of 2 children, one of whom has quadriplegic cerebral palsy and is nonverbal.
In this podcast, we discuss the uncensored truth about raising children with disabilities.
Prepare to laugh, cry, and hopefully learn something new.
This is Two Moms, No Fluff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Moms, No Fluff. I'm Iris Miller, and I'm here with my partner, Alma Schneider. And today we have a special topic and a special guest. And this topic is really dear to my heart because one of the things that really helped my child handle kind of the disability and the pain in general is being in the pool, being in water. So I'll let Alma introduce our guest now.
Thank you, Iris. We are here with an icon in Montclair for the disability community, Jennifer May, who is a swim teacher, and she deals a lot with children who have disabilities. And I agree with you, Iris. There are so many children who benefit from being in the water, but there's so much fear from, the parents, sometimes fear from the children themselves. So we are going to learn some things today from Jennifer. So Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about, your background, who you are, how long you've been in Montclair?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. So I grew up swimming my whole life. And in terms of being involved in the Learn to Swim community, that is rather recent. I've been doing it for about 8 years, but very intently. This is a second career for me. Mm-hmm. The learning to swim was always a passion of mine. And when I quit my corporate type job, I started teaching swimming just to stay busy. And I realized that I was able to do it very well. And so I ended up starting my own company. So the company is Life Cycle Swim School. Mm-hmm. And we do group lessons and we specialize in private and semi-private lessons. The training that we have for children or adults with disabilities it comes from experience and also from a lot of workshops that our employees or I have taken. And we just have a lot of special techniques that many other swim schools perhaps have not yet incorporated into their methodology or curriculum. And we can talk about those things. Yeah.
Okay, so do you train other, like the YMCAs, for example? Do you train them or give presentations on how to incorporate these things?
I don't. However, there is a company that I've received. I'm not officially certified by the company that I'm about to tell you, but everyone should know about it. Mm-hmm. And it's called Angel Fish. Mm-hmm. Angelfish, is it swim Angelfish?
Okay.
Swim Angelfish, and their whole company is adaptive swim lessons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so they have some of I forget which part of the country they're in, but they also train. And I don't know if the Y in Montclair has received their training specifically, but they do that. Okay. So if you're having trouble finding, that's a good place to look to see if you can find someone who is certified by Swim Angelfish.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Great. So what attracted you, Jennifer, to work specifically with the children and adults with disabilities?
So in some ways it happened by accident. It's because our business model is private lessons. So it is very common for people with disability to require some one-on-one teaching in the pool. And so because of just the way we sell our lessons and book our lessons, it attracted a lot of families who had children who needed that one-on-one aquatic classroom. And then over the years, because we have had success with helping people, It's just been sort of word of mouth, really. On the Montclair Facebook community pages, people recommend us a lot through that experience. We've worked with people with sensory issues, people on somewhere on the spectrum for autism. We've worked with people who have some type of physical disability or other cognitive challenges that may not be specifically from autism. And we've just been able to work together with the techniques that we have and create some things that really work. They just work. They don't always work for every single person. And we always try to have another trick up our sleeve if something is not working. But all of our teachers have supplies at their literally right at the pool side that a lot of other swim schools don't have. Actually, I can run them, get them. They're right there. I have things like mirrors. Okay, so people can look at their bubbles, or if you show them how to make that bubble blow or shape that their mouth needs to make, and they're having trouble, sometimes when they look in a mirror, they can do it once they look in the mirror. So we have things like laminated flashcards. So flashcards are a common thing used in just a regular classroom, but we have all the swim skills laminated on little flashcards that can get wet so that we can use those in the water. That is a really, really helpful technique that we have. A lot of kids, if they're ADHD, for example, they have, it helps them to be able to organize and pick the skills they want to do, and they get to put the cards in the order that they want to do them. And it just gives a level of cooperation from the student that we otherwise might not have.
And empowerment. I mean, to really
Yeah,
feel like you're a
yeah,
part of this process, which is great.
yeah.
I've read a statistic a long time ago. I wonder if it's changed, that a percentage of children with autism have a very high percentage of drowning. Is that
Yes,
still?
it is definitely true. Because of the wandering, because of the sensory seeking,
Mm-hmm.
um, their rate of drowning, I forget the statistic off the top of my head, but they are statistically more susceptible to drowning,
Mm-hmm.
specifically because of those two things. And also if they were never able to be given swim lessons,
Right.
I mean, it's hard. It is hard to find swim lessons for a kid who might need like some special type of teacher to have the patience and the skills to reach that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I remember hearing this story. I was just a couple years ago, a kid was at the IKEA in Elizabeth and wandered out an exit door and ended up in the water.
Wow.
So these things happen. They
Yeah.
happen a lot. Um,
And I think
and
a lot of people feel that, well, I don't need to, my kid doesn't like to swim, and we're not planning on going swimming, so it's okay if I'm not teaching him swimming. But it's really a safety issue more
100%.
than, okay, he or
Yeah.
she's not drawn to the water, that's okay, they just won't go into the pool or the lake. But as you said, wandering off, which is,
Yeah.
can be uh
Yeah. So,
very
and I
dangerous.
mean, and the other thing too is we try to do our best to adjust the expectations, so it's not like we're going to take a kid who has some challenges and we don't have the mindset that we're going to turn them into a competitive swimmer. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, that's not the point of the lesson. The point of the lesson for somebody like that is to give them the safety skills that they need, right?
Hmm.
So that if they wander or fall in, they can
Hmm.
roll on their back and ask for help. Talking on your back is a big thing that we practice. Um,
Hmm.
or if they fall in the water, maybe we can get them to turn around and go right back to the wall that they came from and climb out of the pool,
Hmm.
climbing out of a pool. By the way, these are things for all children. They're
Right.
not for disability children. These are the critical first skills that we teach everybody. It's
Mhm.
just that sometimes if we have a situation where a coordinated stroke is maybe going to be a few years down the line long than it might be with a neurotypical person,
Mhm.
then we just focus on those initial safety skills, and that's for that moment. That's where we are. So we
Yeah.
meet them where they are,
Mhm.
and we do our best to try to do for them to execute those safety skills. The other thing that we're also really known for is water safety out of the water.
Mhm.
What do I mean by that? What
Yeah.
I mean is we multiple times in a class will ask kids, they will get out of the pool, they will use that skill of learning how to climb out of a pool independently, which they
Mhm.
have to do if they fall in,
Right.
and come back to the class. They have to ask permission to come back near the water.
Mm.
We do that multiple times during a class. Okay. And I tell all the parents, this rule only works if everyone who's with that child enforces the rule.
Yes.
So if you're walking on a dock or near a lake or a pond or an ocean, or you're at a water park, or even the bathtub, at
Wow.
home,
Yeah.
uh, we have to teach those kids to ask permission before going near water, because 70% of incidents happen during non-swim time.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
So for toddlers, for ages 0 to 5. Okay. So what that means is, when somebody, statistically speaking, when there is an incident, um, they're not in their bathing suit. They
Yeah.
don't have goggles on. In
Mhm.
fact, they have shoes on. They have cotton clothes that are heavier
Yeah.
in the water and harder to do your skills in. So we often also let kids practice their skills in their cotton clothes and in their shoes, so that
Mhm.
they have experience doing that. Um,
Jennifer, I actually wanted to ask you something unrelated, maybe directly to safety. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, my daughter specifically enjoys the buoyancy of the water and being in the water so much, it almost kind of lifts up a portion of the disability. But I know and understand that there are some children whose interaction with water is not so favorable. And while we enjoy the miracle of water, they have a hard time interacting and getting into the water. So I wanted to ask you, what do you do in those situations? How do you acclimate a child who does not like being in the water to the water?
Yeah. So what we do with that, when if someone arrives and they have so much either anxiety or nervousness that they don't want to even approach the water, the first thing we do is we tell them, you don't have to get in. You don't have to get in. This brings their guard down. And I would say at least half of the time they end up getting in after we say that. And so that's one little technique that we use.
Mhm.
Another thing that we do is we have like buckets and bins and things like that. So if we need to learn to blow bubbles outside of the vessel of a pool, but instead with I just equate it to, like, maybe at home, like a large pot, pasta, like a pasta pot that you fill with water. So we have them start to learn to blow bubbles just in a little bucket, not even in the water, right? Or if they're willing, maybe sitting on a top step. Okay. And getting them used to getting lips wet or ears wet. We also do a lot of learning and acclimation that's disguised as fun. So we do a lot of play. So we have I should walk you over there. We have so many toys. We have floating toys. We have sinking toys. We have different kinds of all of those floating and sinking toys, depending on what we're trying to do. Because what we found is that they will sometimes forget even if it's just for a little second or two, about that anxiety, just to play with the object, you know.
Yeah.
They're colorful, they're just, enticing things. We also, what else do we do to get people in the pool? Also, we try to give parents advice on how to work on it at home too, because in a sense, what we're kind of talking about is exposure therapy.
Right. Right.
It's a little bit of exposure over time. And so a good example is a lot of kids don't like to get their ears wet. Neurotypical kids don't like to get their ears wet. And
Mhm.
sometimes a diverse group of people don't like to get their ears wet. So, instead of, kind of helping them get their ear wet and just literally putting their ear in the water, we just bring the water up to them and
Mhm.
splash their ear that way, get their neck wet, get their ears wet. Um, that helps a lot, and then little by little, in swimming, we call it progressions. So we're just progressing them little by little. And so if a parent can do some of those things at home,
Mhm.
like, some people may have trouble taking a shower or a bath, it's too overwhelming for them. So maybe, they take little baby steps at home to get those ears wet or get those eyes wet, things like that. And
I
sometimes
appreciate.
goggles. Sometimes, the goggles to keep people are really nervous about getting their eyes wet. Um, the thing about goggles is they leak. So I don't really have a problem jumping ahead to putting goggles on people because I know they're going to leak anyway. And at some point, their eyes are going to get wet,
Mhm.
right? Remember, getting eyes wet is a safety skill, right? Because if they fall in the water and they start panicking that their
Mhm.
eyes got wet, then they can't execute their skills. Or if they keep their eyes closed, they're not going to know where the wall is to be
Mhm.
able to get to the wall. Or if they start wiping their eyes, just paying attention only to that, they need their arms to grab the wall or to swim. So we really have to get those eyes acclimated over time. Yeah. Right. Did I
I
ramble?
That's
Sorry.
okay. No, no, no. This is all really useful information. I have another question. You mentioned that when they get on their backs, they let you know if that they need help or they need someone's help. What if someone is non-speaking? What are some
Yeah.
of the things you do in that situation?
I mean, that's a real challenge. It's
Mhm.
I it's sit and wait. This is why at the end of the day, it is the adult caregiver who must be super mindful around water. If
Yeah.
you have a child who is not verbal, who ends up in the water, the best thing we can expect them to do is roll on their back and wait
Hmm.
somebody to notice them or be able to get back to the wall and climb out themselves. But if you have rules in place, you can't go near water until you've asked permission, or maybe, if it's a home pool, they have a fence,
Hmm.
around the pool to,
Yeah.
that's another thing, for people who have home pools, it's a whole nother level of carefulness and anxiety that can really be a problem.
Yeah.
So, um,
Can happen very
fence,
quickly. Scary. Yeah.
yeah, it happens. It can happen in as little as 20 seconds.
Hmm.
Okay. So time is not on our side, right?
Hmm.
And another thing I will say is being safe around water is about layers of protection.
Hmm.
So learning to swim is only one of the 5 layers. So what do I mean? The thing is, layers fail, and that's why we need all 5. Because when one fails, let's say your supervision, you got a phone call, uh, you're in the bathroom, right?
Hmm.
Supervision, it's not if it will fail, it probably will fail for
Hmm.
one reason or another. So in a house that has a pool, then your barrier becomes that next level of protection, right?
Hmm.
What if the landscaper left the gate open?
Hmm.
Now the gate is open. So you have a lack of supervision. Now you have an open gate. Now the kid is coming to the pool. Did you leave toys in the pool as a lure?
Mm,
Did you? Because if you did, that child might wander and try to go in the pool or reach into the pool to get those toys.
mhm.
So you can see how
Yes.
the domino effect can work. So the very last layer of protection is your emergency action plan. And so for us so if all these layers fail, right? The supervision lapse, the gate wasn't closed, and the child doesn't know how to swim yet or is nonverbal. The last thing is you finally notice, okay, if someone is missing and you're near water, the very first thing you need to do is go to the pool and check the pool.
Mhm.
So I can guarantee you, whatever else potentially bad thing happened in the house, it's not going to be as bad as what happened in the pool.
Mhm.
So we always check the pool first, then we circle back and go find where this person is. Okay. But that last layer of protection is knowing rescue breath CPR.
Mm,
Because the last thing we want to do is have to wait for EMS to come
mhm.
to give that CPR,
Yeah.
because we don't have time to wait. We
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
They can take in water and drown in 20 seconds, and if you don't get that CPR to them within the next couple of minutes, it's not a good situation.
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you for sharing all of those safety tips that are so extremely important. And I want to ask you, for parents, do you have like an ideal age? How soon should parents kind of reach out and start inquiring about those safety swim lessons that our children with disabilities really do need?
I mean, the American Academy of Pediatrics is now recommending swim lessons should start at 1 year old.
Wow.
Okay. Why do we do that? We do that because we want to get acclimated to the water so that once they have the attention span, motor skills, coordination to be able to pull off some type of rudimentary propulsion in the water, we don't want to have to still be doing all the other stuff,
Mhm.
right? We want to have that done, because now they're 3, 4 years old. They might be able to do a little paddle stroke across the pool or kick on their back to the wall, right? So starting getting acclimated to water, I will say it's never too late. It's
Mhm.
never too late, and the earlier the better.
Mhm.
You're never going to have a swim instructor say, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're always going to try to get people in the water as soon as possible for those acclimations. It doesn't mean that you know, you have to have your expectations in check. We're not looking for a 2 year old to be doing a freestyle across the pool, but getting those fears out of the way, getting the eyes wet, getting the ears wet,
Mhm.
being able to go underwater or blow bubbles, being able to do those things and not worry about getting water up your nose, how to keep that water out of your nasal passages,
Mhm.
then you can focus on what to do. It's
Right.
impossible to focus on how some complicated way I told you to move your arm if you're still worried about water getting up your nose.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Who could?
Yeah. I don't like getting water up my nose. It's a
the,
horrible feeling. So,
the stakes are just too high,
yeah.
so
Oh,
it's that comfort that we're looking for. Once they're comfort going underwater, then we can move on to how to move our arms and legs.
and that's like anything else. Once you feel safe and secure, then you can learn. If you're not going to learn anything if you're in a panic state.
Exactly.
I know that in the past, at least locally in our area in New Jersey, you I believe had rented people's pools, private pools, to do some of your lessons. And I want to just bring that up because I think it's a wonderful way that allies in the disability community can offer up their pools for someone who doesn't have a pool or someone who might not be interested in going to a YMCA or wherever else, there are pools, it's a really great way that's kind of, very easy for someone to do to let you use their pool. And I bring that up also for people who do not live in Montclair, New Jersey, where you're based, but to wherever you're listening to our podcast, to really think about that as an option to use someone's pool that or even listed on social media. Does anybody have a pool that they would allow a private teacher to use
Mhm.
for a child with a disability?
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean, that's our that it was again, so many of these things in life happen. There seem like the worst thing at the time, and then they end up being the exact perfect thing. So I'm at one of the pools right now. That's our business model. We rent residential pools, and that's another reason that it attracted this community, because they were quiet and like spa like, really,
yeah,
you know. It's not, like I said, they only see the people who are at the very leaving or arriving. It's not a noisy facility.
mhm,
A lot of the indoor facilities are very echoey, and it just exacerbates
yeah,
that type of situation. And some of the people can't tolerate that. So at these outdoor venues, um, you know, they're really conducive to relaxation.
right.
And I mean, I would say the one thing that can sometimes happen with people with this anxiety is they get a little freaked out that they see bugs or something, because of
Yes.
course we're outside. So they might see
Mhm,
ants, or what's in the pool, it might just be a leaf,
yeah.
yeah,
Or a
but we just,
frog.
oh, we're swimming outside, we're swimming
Yeah,
outside, and sometimes nature makes its way into the pool, yeah.
yeah. So
Jennifer,
that's
I'm just looking at the time and I wanted to ask you if there's anything else you want to share that is important for our audience to hear about swimming with our children with disabilities, and for our allies to know about pools and children with disabilities again.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I would say, set yourself up for success. There's some things you could do. Like, for example, you could visit a pool in advance, right?
Mhm,
So if you're about to you taking someone to start swim lessons, try not to have the lesson day be the very first day that you go to the pool, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So they can uh be familiar somewhat with where they're going and what they're doing. So it's not like a big mystery on that first day,
Mhm,
right? So we kind of check that off of the box. Um, Try to uh, be in touch with the company so that you can give that information to the teacher. We have some people who come to us, we have a student intake form, and we really encourage people to share information with us so that it can help us. So I would just encourage you to do that, because we have some people who show up and after the first lesson, we're like, I think that person might have ADHD, but we weren't told they had ADHD.
mhm,
And so it would just make it a lot easier, if you're willing to, share information. And usually people, um, you know, they should be super proactive about telling you that they will keep your confidence, any medical information. Um, and you just be really patient, even for neurotypical kids. The timeline for learning to swim with what we want, which is a competent and confident stroke, right?
mhm,
Freestyle breaststroke, elementary backstroke. We're not making swim team kids out of everybody. We
mhm,
just want people to be safe and be able to enjoy water, be able to go on a boating trip or go to the beach, go to a water park. And not that you don't have to still have supervision, um, but it's a 14-year process of yearly lessons, even for neurotypical kids.
mhm,
Okay, so keep that in mind
mhm,
because swimming takes time. We're trying to meet them where they are with their coordination and their cognition, their
mhm,
attention.
mhm.
Um, yeah.
All right, that's really helpful. And I want to give a shout out to our neighboring town of Verona, New Jersey, that actually had the town pay for or allow you to use their pool and to pay for service for your swim lessons in their town pool. And I bring that up also, not just to appreciate that they've done that, but also for our listeners, whatever town you're in, most towns, if you're in the suburbs and actually in the cities, there are pools to speak with them about offering this, so that people who where it's difficult to pay for these classes might get scholarships, and to just have the classes available. So it's really important that we ask. The towns aren't and the cities aren't going to know that this is a need unless we bring it up. So
Yeah.
little activism there, little
Mhm.
action item for everybody listening. And I will definitely be doing that in Montclair. So
Yes,
thank
and
you
in
so much.
Verona, Jennifer, just to confirm, those lessons are free for the families, right? They are able to join for free.
Yeah, so the way they have it is they actually reached out to us 3 years ago and
Wow,
said, can you provide these lessons? And so they hired us to
great.
come, not like I reached out to them even. So
Wow,
they hire us and we just show up and they broadcast it out to their town community, and whoever
wonderful.
shows up, shows up. So the way we structure that is it's an hour class and we have
Hmm.
2 teachers. So for the first 10 or 15 minutes, we go over water safety, talk about asking permission and what lifeguards are for and things like that. And then we have 45 minutes in the water, and we split it based on who shows up, either by
Hmm.
age or by ability.
Hmm.
Um, and we split up the class that way. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
great. All right. So again, this is for cities and suburbs alike. So this is something that can actually happen for any community. So this is wonderful information. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for taking the time. This is very timely as summer is about to begin
Yeah.
in 2 days. So we're really grateful for you sharing these safety tips.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Do
Thank
we
you,
have time for one?
Jennifer.
Are we done? We're done. Are we
Uh,
done?
Not quite yet. Iris, what were you about to say?
No, I was gonna say one more thing. It
Oh,
wasn't
yes,
like I was
please.
trying to get off.
No, 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 no. What did you
No,
want to say?
no, what I was gonna say, there's one other prop that we use. Do you mind if I run and get it?
Sure.
It's gonna take
Run
two
and
seconds.
get it. And Iris and I will continue talking.
Yes, I think that the fact that cities and other community, I guess, organizations that do have pools need to understand that swimming is a safety skill that many of our children, especially the ones with disabilities, really
Mhm.
need to acquire. And if we have those opportunities, like a free swim class for children with disabilities, people in the community would take advantage of it and would
Yes.
use it, and it can save lives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I just want to show you, this is the little mirror. It's like a
Oh,
waterproof
yeah.
mirror that we use. But the thing I really wanted to show you was this baby.
Okay. Hello, baby.
So we use this in the water to help communicate what we're doing in the pool, because
Mm,
sometimes when I need to demonstrate something, my face is in the water. I
yes.
can't talk when my face is in the water. So by having the doll do it, and I can talk and explain at the same time, it's tremendously helpful.
Great.
It's just a really good visual aid. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. So just for those who are only listening and not watching on YouTube, Jennifer is holding up a baby doll that is not a real baby, but a doll.
It's a doll.
It's a doll. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Great
Excellent.
note to end
It works
on.
really well. A lot of our special needs, disability kids, really love that. They just like it, and even that in of itself gives them comfort in the water. It
Sure.
helps. It helps. I want the baby, I want to
Yeah.
hold the baby. Yeah, it's
Great.
nice.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Again, Jennifer May, if you guys have any questions for Jennifer about swimming and orienting your children to the water, please don't hesitate to write to us at info@2momsnofluff, and we'll be able to connect you with Jennifer directly. Thank you again for all the information you shared with us today. And for all of our listeners, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating so other people can hear about our podcast and share the information with them as well. Bye.
Bye.
For more information, please go to www.twomomsnofluff.com. Thank you.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give it a 5-star rating so more people can hear it. Thank you.